Dad actually started with animals many, many years ago, has always had an affinity with animals. So Emmett technique was actually invented by a gentleman called Ross Emmett, who happens to also be my father, so slightly biased, I will say. Uh, no pun there. I think so. Dad actually started with animals many, many years ago, has always had an affinity with animals. And because he had such an affinity with animals, he spent a lot of time with them and observing them. And through those observations, he worked in animal research for a number of years as well when he was younger. And he was simply there to observe. So, as he said, his superpower, not always in the words, but his observation was he could see some catch ups or some imbalances potentially in the animals, and he noticed by holding certain points that groups of muscles would release. And I think everyone knows, if you know anything about animals, you scratch their tummy and their back leg kicks. That little spot that they seem to have, these little spots on their body that just really triggers something else in them. Went on to be a dog judge, and both my parents were in dog training for many years.
Mhm.
And he noticed by these little points that he would hold, it actually corrected the way the animal stood and created more flexion, released that tension, and it sort of went from there. So it originated with animals. And it wasn't till years later that he went down the human path.
Yeah.